Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pegasus Expedition, a new 4X game by Color Gamesworks that just launched into early access, and that I played 12 hours on stream, and I enjoyed my time with it, and I wanted to give you a look into what this game is all about, and help you making a decision if the game is something for you at its current state. So let's jump into the classic 4X mechanics of this game that it is built upon. And those start with you getting into the Pegasus galaxy via a portal from Earth, sent out by Earth to help out with troubles back home. And you are in charge of the EU fleet in the year 2262. And you start exploring this lovely galaxy and expand onto planets and solar systems, starting to exploiting them via colonies that extract the 6 base resources for you: minerals, rare earth, population, energy, happiness, and science. So pretty standard system in that regard. Fights to exterminate other factions or get their colonies are pretty simple but relatively cool as well, as when you get into fights you get your fleets in there, and then in the fight itself, you, before the fight starts, give them a basic aggressive or defensive order system out of the 6 orders you have available here. And they have different boni and mali. And then you send the fleet in, and they come in and fight on their own. You have a couple of smaller interactions, like sending out missiles or nukes, depending on which strategy you did choose. You can, for example, nuke the enemy here as well, or send missiles against them. But you don't have control over the individual units yourself. It's not an RTS. It's more player interaction than in Stellaris in a fight, but less player interaction than, for example, in the Sins of a Solar Empire or other space RTX in that scale. So it's a relatively simple fight mechanic, which also usually ends within a minute or two, as you can see. The other way of interacting and with your opponents are operatives that can sabotage the enemy here, for example, or blow up enemy planets later on when you have the research for that. And then you obviously also have diplomacy, where you have some classic things as well: non-aggression pacts, science traits, normal traits, intelligence sharing, and so on, up to war. So a pretty basic 4X system. But the cool part of it is that it is story-based. You always follow quests to help out Earth back at home, is the main goal. You have a main goal to achieve from the get-go, and you follow that by getting more and more quests, and the further you go in and the more interactions you have, you get more quests, and the story expands. And based on your decisions, also different kind of options open themselves or close themselves throughout the game. And most of this is shown via dialogues like this. Where you interact with your main characters that are part of your fleet or part of other states or fleets that you can interact with via dialogue. They have their own opinions, each character, and can interact with them in the dialogue as well. They communicate with each other. I wish there would be more voice acting. There are a couple of cutscenes that are voice acted at the moment, but I hope that throughout the early access they will add voice acting to these bigger dialogue windows as well. Not all the smaller dialogue windows need to be voice acted, but there's a lot of dialogue, and reading it all, as you can see, can be quite tiresome, as these people talk a lot, which is cool, but it can be quite exhausting to have to read it all. So this is how you advance the story. There come up decision bubbles where you interact with them, and then things change based on your decisions that you make in these dialogues. You can unlock new alliances, new enemies, new research, new technologies, and so on all through that. I don't want to spoil you too much there, because that's a big part of this game. And yeah, this is basically the Pegasus Expedition. A nice story-based 4X game. You have a grand goal, but the way to get there is pathed by you, based on your decisions. And yeah, the current pros and cons are for me as follows. I would say the story is pretty well written, and the 4X game system is also really nice. It's pretty simple, but solid. You build ships, you have different kind of ship classes. You have around 20 to 25 buildings that you can unlock and build, and getting yourself a bit specialized in that regard. And the mix with the stories is also something I haven't seen before in that kind of way, so that's quite nice, especially as the story in my eyes holds up pretty well. But as I said, it's a lot of text, as basically you have 1 or 2 bigger dialogues every single turn, and having to read that all without voice acting can be quite tiresome. So I hope over the course of the early access more voice acting will be added into the game. Combat is a bit too simplistic in my eyes. I like that you have a kind of hands-off approach. You give your orders and then they will be executed, but I think that could be improved upon throughout the early access as well. And the pacing is a bit tough, especially because of the lack of voice acting. You often have turns where you don't do much in the 4X part, and you just read dialogue just to click afterwards and turn to read the next dialogue, and so on. So if you want to have a 4X game with a solid story, you want to have a bit of a space opera, this is a solid game for you. If you're currently up with reading a lot. If you're reading a lot of books, this might be a great game for you. If you want to have an open sandbox game, or you want to have great cinematics, you might not be at the right place at the moment. So yeah, this is my perspective onto the Pegasus Expedition. I hope it was helpful. If you want to see more of the Pegasus Expedition, let me know down below in the comment section. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye, and have a great day.